Yeah, nails. So starting with nails. Um, so the parts of it are the free edge. That's the part that you clip off, right? I mean, the free edge is the part that extends beyond the end of your finger. Then the body is the part that if you clip too deep, it's painful because it's actually attached to living tissue, right? Have all of you done that? Clip your nails too short, it's a little tender on the end there. So anytime you get into that, or if you smashed your finger with a hammer or whatever and damage that, quite painful. Probably not as painful as if you didn't have a nail, but any of you ever done that where it'll bleed under your nail and it's super painful, but if you make a little hole in it, blood spurt out, it relieves it pretty quickly. I've never really done that, but that's. Oh yeah, that would have been okay. Then the root of the nail is the part that's embedded in the skin. Look, guys, and just like we said with a hair, where the hair actually, where it grows from down in the skin, the dermis and epidermis are kind of infolded where that hair follicle is. Essentially, the same thing is true with the skin of your cuticle and your finger, where your nail bed is, kind of folds in around there. So the root of the nail is embedded in the skin. The cuticle is the proximal fold that goes up onto the top of your nail. And if that skin starts to come apart, what do you call that? Hangnail. And I don't care what people say. That can be painful.
You pull away, you never pull.
And bothersome. Take a big strip of skin off.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a picture of it, and so here's what I was talking about. You have this infolding around the root of the nail. You see how that's sort of like the way that a hair goes in. Of course, the hair follicle goes straight down, and this goes laterally along the top of your finger. But the cuticle is this little extension that creates hangnails. Just above that, where the actual skin is a proximal nail fold, and the body is the part that has live tissue under it. The free edge sticks out beyond that.
It's a little white hump.
Little white part here.
Yeah.
This half moon is called a lunula. Just like Luna is the moon, right? So it's a little half moon white. And so there's.
What if your nail beds are purple?
What's that?
What if your nail beds are purple?
I don't know. Mine are right now. I mean, I think sometimes it's a temperature thing, but okay. So now we're moving on to some skin conditions, homeostatic imbalances, infections, and so on. First one is athlete's foot, which is tinea pedis. That's a fungal infection. Boils and carbuncles are caused by bacteria rather than fungi. And then things like cold sores are viruses. And so those are some common examples of things that create homeostatic imbalance. Okay, I'm going to read you about the lunula. So we're going back a little bit. It says, let's see. I'm going to try to find a different source. This one, I don't know how. Okay, so the human body can disclose a lot about itself, just like the forehead can unveil everything about a person's digestive health. Chin can reveal ongoing hormonal conditions. Nails can speak volumes of a person's inner health. Let's see. white nails, if the nails are partly or entirely white with a pink band at the top, can signify a health anomaly. It can indicate, so it says it usually indicates protein deficiency or potentially even something as serious as cirrhosis of the liver or congestive heart failure or anemia. Yellow nails can mean that they're infected with fungus, blue or purplish undertone, body isn't getting enough oxygen. Well, I don't think it's happening quickly, but you may be a little low on oxygen temporarily. Okay, so those are some common, back to this, these are some common imbalances. Infections and allergies, things like, then we can have contact dermatitis, and that means that something's actually touched your skin that causes a reaction. So what does itis mean? Anything that ends itis. Arthritis, tendonitis, diverticulitis. So your pits in your digestive system that can get irritated because they get small bits of food or seeds or stuff like that caught in it. Not really pertinent right now, but what does itis mean? Tinnitus. It means inflammation of. Okay, so dermatitis means simply inflammation of the dermis, right? Inflammation of the dermis. Impetigo is caused by bacterial infection. You've probably seen impetigo before. Psoriasis, trauma, infection, stress. So we'll look at some of these things.
What are warts? Are those bacterial on your feet? Like you get,
Say it again.
like you get warts on your feet, is that bacterial? Or is that virus?
I think those are viral. Yeah. Yep.
When I had them, they treated me with yeast. They put a yeast shot in like the heel of my foot, and it's like a yeast infection.
Really?
And they wanted to make sure I wasn't allergic to it first, but then
Really? Is that something newer? I've never heard of that.
they freezed it, but that was painful. I couldn't bear that after a while.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so here are some examples, guys. Let me get the lights here so you can see a little bit better. Cold sores. Any of you have kind of chronic problems with cold sores? Nobody? Well, you're pretty fortunate. I don't, but my wife gets them, and my dad gets them also. They're super painful and bothersome. Impetigo, there's kind of red patches, and psoriasis gets kind of white, crusty patches. Okay, burns. So there's going to be a question about how can the skin get burned, and the answers are from heat, electricity, radiation, and chemicals. And for whatever reason, that seems to be a hard thing for students to remember. Heat, chemicals, UV radiation, electricity. Those are the four major causes of skin burns.
Pardon the interruption. Rose, Daria, and Anisha, please report to the study hall within the practice room.
Okay, and then what are the dangers of that? In other words, so the top thing are the causes of it, and then what are the ramifications? Well, if your skin gets burned, it can cause dehydration because one of the things that your skin does is helps your body avoid what's the drying out word? Desiccation. Okay, it keeps your skin from drying out. Electrolyte imbalance, right? If you're losing fluids, results in electrolyte imbalance, and circulatory shock. That's blood loss and extreme low blood pressure. If you've heard of, somebody going into shock, right? It doesn't mean like that they're actually. I mean, they might be in shock, but they're also low on blood. Okay. Rule of nines. The rule of nines. And I've got a picture in there. It's also in your book, but it's not something you're really going to have to do, but it's important to know how do they assess how severe someone's burns are. Obviously, if someone's had a traumatic burn incident, it's going to be important for medical professionals and first responders and all that to kind of be able to fairly quickly assess how serious is this. I mean, is this very critical and we've got to move more quickly, or can we do some other things to help stabilize before we transport or anything like that? So this rule of nines is meant to help medical professionals to get a kind of a quick overview idea of the significance of this traumatic event. And so as you might imagine, there are going to be two different things at work. The amount of the body's area that's where the skin is damaged, and what else?
How much is damage?
How serious the damage is, right? I mean, are you aware that there are 3 different degrees of burns, right? Most of us, if we've had a sunburn where our skin just gets reddened, or maybe you got in the shower without checking the temperature and it's super hot and your skin turns red. That's actually a burn. It's a first degree burn. And have you ever had sunburns? Have you had sunburns that probably the water one isn't a great example because you probably know enough to get out of there quickly enough that it doesn't actually burn your skin. But if it ran on there for several seconds and caused a lasting redness, that would be a burn. How about sunburn wise? Have any of you ever had sunburns that blistered? Me too. Anyway, that would be a second degree burn. And then if the skin layers are kind of completely destroyed, then you have a third degree burn.
I thought one like turned brown. What does that mean?
It did what?
It like gets darker, but then like no, but like it was like a burn, but like it like went.
Did your skin come off?
Yes.
That's bad.
It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
I think we're agreeing. You and I are agreeing it was bad. Yeah, I don't know as far as the skin tone change, but if you're If you lost a leg, blistering or no blistering?
No blister.
Okay, probably a first degree burn. Okay, so each of these areas, your body's divided into 11 areas of 9% each. So just to give you an idea, I don't know how well you can see that. Let me see if I can make it just a little bit bigger. Okay, so we have our face. This is showing just the front, right? So it says anterior and posterior head and neck. So your head and neck in total, that's 9%. Your anterior trunk is 18%. Okay. Anterior and posterior, upper limbs are 18%. So, oh yeah. So the fronts are 9%, and the backs would be another 9%. That's your upper limbs. And then your trunk, you'd have 18% front of your body, another 18% the back of your body, 9% times 4, front of each leg, back of each leg, 36%. Okay. And anyway, so it comes to, and so again, what we'd be looking at if you're a first responder or working in an emergency room or something, you'd be trying to say how many of those areas are damaged, and so that's going to help you to make a kind of a quick assessment of the severity. Okay. Yeah. So first degree, only the epidermis is damaged. Skin can get red and kind of puffy. Second degree, the epidermis and the upper dermis are damaged, and so now you have that fluid that comes to the surface. It's trapped under your skin. Skin is red with blisters. Then we have third degree burns, destroys the entire skin layer, and the burn can even turn gray, white, or black. So my experience, everybody's got an experience probably like it, but my experience was that was our kids weren't very old. We went to Island Oasis, and anyway, anybody ever been to Island Oasis? I'm not much for water anyway. Try to spare everybody and not take my shirt off, but I wanted to go down this water slide. That looked like it was fun. You couldn't go down with a t-shirt on. You had to take your t-shirt off. So I apologized, and I took my t-shirt off, went down there. And anyway, then saw this friend of ours, and he says, hey, they had the thing where you get on an inner tube and just float around this little. Okay. So he's telling stories, and he's entertaining me. So he said, let's go around again. Let's go around. I said, okay, whatever. Oh, my. I get back over to where my wife was, and I said, do I look like I'm burned? She said, no, I don't think so. I don't think too bad. I'm telling you, it's like being in the crock pot. You think it just continued to cook. By the time I went from there over to where we were getting in the car, I thought, I'm pretty sure I'm burnt. By the time I got home, I think I had blisters. It was terrible.
Go on the slide that straight down?
I think probably the straight down one. I think I saw that and thought, I think I'd like to do that. That's where it all started. Took the shirt off. Big mistake. Anyway, so any of you ever experienced a third degree burn where it like jarred your skin, took some real significant repair? Do you know anybody that had anything like that? Do you? Yeah. So that's where potentially, if it's a large enough area, that's where you'd have to have a skin graft, right? Because your skin can't grow back where there isn't any skin. Now, if it isn't a very large area, it might grow together and just leave a significant scar. But if it's very large, you're probably going to have a graft to repair that. You ready? Okay. So this is showing the top one there, just a couple of kids there that have just a regular sunburn. Then the next one down is blistering, and then the bottom one, you can't see it very well, but the skin is kind of gone. Okay, critical. So here's what we're talking about with regard to assessment. If you have first degree burns, that's not going to be critical. Probably doesn't do you any good, but the risk of a first degree burn is probably more of a long-term thing. If you frequently have gotten first degree burns on your skin, it potentially could result in skin cancer. Because what's actually happening, if you've got that kind of burns on your skin, what have you potentially done that could result in cancer? Expose your skin to, say it, UV radiation, which can cause mutations in your cells. And mutations in your cells are really what cancer is, right? So that skin can develop growths and all that kind of thing. And you're probably aware of, do you have parents or grandparents who've had to have skin cancers removed? What are some common places where people have to have skin cancers removed? Arms, probably. Maybe, if they've gone shirtless very often, if they go to Island Oasis too much.
Maybe legs.
Nose, tops of your ears, things that get a lot of sun exposure, right? I mean, the places that are mostly covered with clothes, you're not going to probably get that kind of consistent exposure to sunlight. But oftentimes, like people's forearms particularly, tops of their ears, nose, maybe forehead, depending on where they wear a hat, and all that kind of thing, where you have that repetitive exposure to sunlight. Anyway, so back to this. 25% with second degree, 10% with third degree, or if you have third degree burns, face, hands, or feet, that's more critical.
Did you ever walk on hot coals and swim out? You see people that do that?
No.
I don't get that.
I am very much about self-preservation.
I don't know what the point of that is.
I don't either. I certainly wouldn't walk on them. I might run on them real fast. If I had to, right. Okay. I think we spend most of our life trying to avoid the hellfires. I'm not going to do it on Earth for fun.
The thing is if you're trying to run, like,
Probably putting more pressure. I don't know if that's bad.
well, the thing is, like, I'd always step on a Lego when I was running. I think it's stop because
Okay, so cancers are an abnormal cell mass. A couple different classifications. Benign means that it's encapsulated, and so it doesn't have those finger-like projections that go out from it. If it has those, if we say that that's reached out into adjacent tissues, we say that it's metastasized, and then it moves to other parts of the body. It reaches out, and then we call that type of cancer malignant. Then we say it's malignant. You have a hangnail? Oh, that's bad. Is it your swinging hand? I have that. Okay, and skin cancer is the most common type of cancer. And so, again, I'm sure many or most of you know someone who's had small skin cancers removed. Many of them, there are different types also. So basal cell carcinoma is the least malignant, most common, and it comes from the layer of the skin that divides, which is called the stratum basale, or the stratum, like a seed that pops out and starts to grow. Stratum. What do you call when a seed first bursts open? Germinating. Germinativum. Stratum germinativum.
They looked at me.
Stratum basale, stratum germinativum. We might get finished today, kids. Actually, that might not be true. We're going to get close. Try to get through all three of the major types of skin cancers. Basal cell carcinoma. Okay, so that might be what that looks like. Looks like it's on somebody's nostril there. Little red bump. Okay, squamous cell carcinoma. If it doesn't get removed, it can metastasize or spread to the lymph nodes. Probably sun-induced. The stratum spinosum. Again, if it's squamous cell, it's talking about the flat cells of your skin. Okay. So if you didn't notice, we're going up in severity. So basal cell carcinoma is generally not as threatening or dangerous. Squamous cell carcinoma can be, if it's let go and spread to the lymph nodes, which makes it more dangerous. And then, so that's in somebody's hairline. So looks a little bit more irregular. And then malignant melanoma. It's the most deadly of the skin cancers. It's cancer of those pigment-producing cells called melanocytes, and it metastasizes rapidly to the lymph and blood vessels. And detection uses ABCD rule. And we'll get to what that is. Okay, guys, I'm going to have you do the next part of the. Let's do this. Let's just finish through 95, and then we'll take our next quiz. But listen, guys, the quiz will only be through what we already talked about today. So 26 through, what was the number? Okay. But finish the rest of the questions, and we'll take a quiz over 26 to 47. See ya.